So many people are reported missing to the police every single year. Most, however, do end up being found safe and sound. But for some, that simply just isn't the case. Today, we'll be looking at 6 serial killers that are still out there. Don't go anywhere. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you may be in the world right now. I'm Lloyd, and today you're watching When Evil Follows. Walking the streets alone shouldn't be anything to think about other than just getting to your next destination. For example, making sure you turn up on time to the lunch you planned with your best friend last weekend, or simply just meeting up with a family member to take the dog for a walk. Basically what I'm saying is we simply walk the streets with self-confidence as part of our everyday life, and quite rightly so. However, after watching this video, you might want to think twice before you step outside of your front door. Alone. Because today we're looking at 6 serial killers that are still out there in the public domain and potentially still active, even to this very day. This list will be compiled from killers who have managed to be successful so far in evading police capture ever since they were flagged up on police radar. But before we get into it, please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you never miss out on any of our amazing up and coming videos, just like this one. I wonder, which one of these evil twisted serial killers will send shivers down your spine? Let me know in the comment section below. Number 6. The Eastbound Strangler. In the late November in the year of 2006, 4 female bodies were discovered in a draining ditch, just on the outskirts of Atlantic City in New Jersey, USA. Now, all 4 of these female bodies were found behind the Golden Key Hotel in Eggborough Township. Each victim had been strangled to death, and yet what was more eerily strange was each body was found without shoes and footwear. However, the police would soon come to identify the victims as Tracy Ann Roberts, Molly Jean, Kimberly Afro, and Barbara Breier. The 4 women were believed to be well-known sex workers from within the area. The forensic pathologist confirmed that all 4 women were violently, brutally strangled to death. The police made public statements including information on the bodies. All 4 bodies, they were laying next to each other in a line, and all bodies were facing east. And for that reason, the press dubbed and nicknamed the killer as the Eastbound Strangler. Many crazy and unusual suspects from within the area were quickly rounded up by the police and were questioned as to their connection with the victims. However, due to DNA samples left at the scene of the crime, all the suspects were cleared and eliminated from police investigations. And even though detectives who were working this dark and sinister serial killer's case offered members of the public over $25,000 as a reward in any information that leads to the arrest and conviction of the killer, and the Eastbound Strangler was never caught and continues to walk freely on our streets to this very day. Number 5. The I-70 Killer. The long and amazing interstate I-70 highway was constructed in the year of 1956 and is without any doubt one of the longest and largest highways running through the United States of America. It connects many different states between Utah and Maryland and is believed to be used between 90,000 and 160,000 vehicles every single day. In the year of 1992, the main highway became a hunting ground for this disturbed and seriously dangerous individual who was nicknamed the I-70 Killer. This killer went on a 29-day killing spree in the late spring of 1992 and is responsible for the deaths of 6 people who were working in quiet off-road convenience stores along the highway. Many of the victims were purposely targeted and singled out to be young brunette-headed women. And even with an accurate sketch, along with a physical, detailed description of the killer, detectives have been unsuccessful in identifying any suspects in connection with this case. However, in 2021, nearly 30 years later, the police and detectives now armed with new modern-day science and forensics have reopened the case.
The St. Charles Police Department released an age-enhanced image of the sketch this week. Take a good look. The department is also planning to convene a meeting in November involving police departments across 3 states where the murders occurred. There, investigators plan to review the evidence they have, hoping advances in forensic science could also help solve the cases.
The police are now finally able to identify and expose the weapon that was linked to the 6 killings across 3 different states. The police stated that the weapon used in the killings was a German handheld pistol made in the 1940s. That, along with tangible DNA and an up-to-date e-fit, it could quite clearly be just a matter of time before this violent individual is brought to justice and placed behind bars. I guess we just have to wait and sit this one out. But one thing we do know is that I-70 killer remains active and is freely using the streets and highways to this very day. Number 4. The Jeff Davis 8 killer. These murders took place within the mid to late 2000s. The Jefferson Davis parish in Louisiana was thrown under the national media spotlight after a long string of brutal and bloody unsolved murders. The police department launched a large investigation in an attempt to solve these mysterious killings, after a negative backlash and mounting frustration being displayed from the local community. These 8 women are known as the Jeff Davis 8. They were all murdered and then dumped in local swamps or canals just on the outskirts of Jenkins City in Louisiana over a 4-year period. The first of the 8 bodies found was discovered by a fisherman on the 20th of May in the year of 2005 in a canal just off the main 1126 highway. But what was even more strange about this violent and eerily sinister case is that all 8 victims were discovered to have known each other and reasonably quite well, and that 2 of the victims were actually related. However, all the victims were known to have been at some point in their lives police informants, leading to speculation from their family members that corrupt police were involved within their deaths. Due to a lack of evidence and delayed responses within the murder investigations, this cold-hearted and undetectable killer remains at large today. Number 3. The Chicago Strangler. This shadowy evil killer claimed the lives of over 50 women, stretching all the way from the west to the south side of Chicago, between the years of 2021 and 2018. Unfortunately, the killer left absolutely no trace and no clues, leaving detectives working this case completely baffled, and for years, dubbed by the police as the Chicago Strangler. This twisted, cruel and calculated individual enjoys killing poor and homeless young African women from within the cities, before dumping their bodies in a dark alleyway, purposely, so that their bodies can be discovered the following morning. The police describe this as what they call pattern killing behaviour. However, it's completely unknown if the killer has any personal links to these victims relating back to his own problematic and personal crisis. But one thing is for sure, this serial killer spends all his time stalking and preying upon the poor and disadvantaged, knowing full well these people will mostly be alone in life and have fewer people to realise them gone or report them as missing, making this twisted individual exceptionally calculated. A special crimes unit was assigned in reopening the case back in 2019 to re-examine the case, but the results were the same as before, ending with no new leads coming to light, and the Chicago Strangler remains dangerously active today. And just for the record, if you're planning a trip to Chicago anytime soon, just make sure that you're off the streets and behind locked doors before dark falls. Number 2. The West Mesa Bone Collector. At the beginning of February in the year of 2009, a woman named Christina Ross was walking her dog at West Mesa, Albuquerque in New Mexico when she discovered the remains of a human leg. This creepy and disturbing discovery would lead to finding many more human bones, all belonging to 11 female victims that had been buried in what most detectives would describe as shallow graves. These unfortunate victims were all buried across a 45-acre of land. The land at the time was being prepared for business development buildings when all 11 bodies were found. The detectives working on this case believed that all the victims found were Hispanic females, and in just 1 year, police were finally able to identify each victim, and, unsurprisingly, all of them had been reported to the police as missing within the years of 2003 and 2004. The police began pulling potential suspects suspects, all leading to many criminal interrogation interviews. However, after the police eliminated suspects from their inquiries, the unknown identity of the killer still remains shrouded in suspicion.
It has been 13 years since the West Mesa murder case was uncovered. A single bone found on the West Mesa. When the digging was done, the remains of 11 women were found. After years of investigating, still no arrests have been made in the case, and now investigators are saying there are more suspects than they originally thought.
With many possible scenarios being looked at by the police, one of the scenarios includes the possibility of a professional human trafficking ring. Now, if that's true, this would completely eliminate the idea of any individual serial killer working alone. However, in more recent years, the police have stepped away completely from that one scenario, purely because each victim was found in their own grave, and each victim had suffered different injuries leading to their deaths. The West Mesa bone collector's identity still remains a chilling mystery to this very day. Number 1. The Long Island Ripper. Sharon Gilbert was a 24-year-old woman who was reported to the local police as missing by her loving and caring family in the middle of May in the year of 2010. The local police carried out an extensive search within Long Island area of New York in the hopes of finding her well and alive. Although police failed to find Sharon, what they did discover, however, was the shocking decomposing remains of 4 young women who were already recently reported as missing. Discovering these 4 dead bodies on the sandy banks of Long Island would soon spark off huge police and media interest and attention of the public across the country. Soon after the police discovered these 4 decomposing bodies, the search on Long Island intensified, and over the next 9 weeks the police would find even more horrific and gruesome human remains, all belonging to a further 7 more female victims, bringing the body count up to 11. The detectives who were working this case would soon come to the realization that they were actually dealing with a sick and twisted serial killer, and what once started out as a hunt for one missing woman's whereabouts would quickly change and intensify and escalate into a hunt for an evil, criminally insane maniac. The police and press would soon nickname this murderer as the Long Island Ripper. Detectives would soon discover that the majority of the victims that were found were young sex workers who were posting sex ads on the website Craigslist in order to find clients. This new information gave police a very strong starting point in where to begin their investigations and gain control over all inquiries that were made, as many suspects were now being gathered and taken to the police station for questioning. However, none of the interrogation interviews led police to actually making a final arrest, and eventually all the suspects at the time were cleared from police inquiries. The victims' families, they continued to pray for justice, as the investigation remains open and ongoing. And with new information the police have in connection with this case, for now, they're keeping everything private. However, the hard reality is, with no solid arrests being made at this time, the Long Island serial ripper still remains out there, somewhere, and on the prowl. Hello there, and thank you so much for watching another episode of When Evil Follows. And as always, if you have enjoyed this video, then please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you don't miss out on any of our new and up and coming content. You know, subscribing to our channel really helps us out to make more great videos, just like this one. So what did you think to our most wanted countdown? Do you believe these killers will ever be caught? Or do you think they will possibly go on to kill again? Which one of these killers gave you the heepy creepies the most? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, until next time, please do look after yourself, stay safe. I'll see you again the next time when evil follows. Bye.